All right, we are back for the third place match, and we have Arianel going up against Shadow Blue, Team Faeria Tail versus our representative from China. And we've seen how impressive Shadow Blue has played, and we already know how impressive Arianel is. But yeah, this is going to be a great match. Any thoughts on this game before we go in?
Mm,
I'm just really excited to see what both of these players are able to bring out here. We've seen both of them play now, so we know that the start is going to be Arianel's mid-range green. I'll kind of call it there, and then Shadow Blue is more of the red control. So I'm expecting Arianel really to come out strong and take that game one, unless he has kind of the similar draws like we saw in the one game there of his match against King Dan's, but kind of that really should set the tone here. I'm kind of expecting, just because of that game one, what my expectations are, that Arianel is going to take the third place here. But I'm kind of hoping that Shadow Blue can put up a really good performance. Even making it this far is an unreal accomplishment for his first monthly cup.
Yeah, he has a tough road ahead of him, especially in game one. Like you said, that mid-range green is going to give that red control some problems. If a lot of Farian golems come down, it's going to be really tough to deal with them. Two Farian golems is probably too much for red control, but if he lines up some good bomb slingers, keeps them alive to maybe take some damage as well, he may be able to squeeze a win out there, but we'll have to see. We'll get into the action, and we'll see how these guys do. And joining me on the cast is going to be a Lizard. What do you think? I've had Scorch's views. Do you feel the same?
well, I think Shadow Blue might be a bit disappointed after that last hard-fought series against Kumpel Keffer. But I hope he didn't lose his fighting spirit and is now eager to get back and get that third place and claim this victory for really, yeah, the underdogs. The whole Asian community hasn't been represented that much in the Faeria monthly cups. So I'm hoping he does well here.
Yeah, and he's, like I said, he's got a tough road ahead of him with this mono green matchup. We've been very impressed with him so far, and it has been told that he worked very hard to get into this monthly cup, and he should be very proud of his first performance. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in future cups as well. But it's looking like Arianel's he's got a great start with that Wood Elemental on turn 2, allowing him to develop a creature straight away.
Yeah, I think how Shadow Blue wants to play this matchup is getting the underground boss out, getting all these combat creatures out, in fact, and taking good value trades. Like, Green hasn't a way of dealing with underground boss aside from creature combat. So if you can get maybe 2 hits out of the underground boss, it'd be really good for Shadow Blue, and might even be able to snowball this game.
The Fairy advantage is going to play a big role in Shadow Blue's victory here. He's got an uphill battle, but if he plays well and the cards come to him in the right time, it could definitely be good for him. And wow, Shadow Blue has still got the yellow rush goggles on, and he's going in.
Yeah. Well, he thinks Arenal doesn't have anything in the hand, maybe? Maybe he's hopeful and does some wishful thinking here. Thinks that Arianel has a utility hand, like the last game against Dance.
I guess my issue really is Arianel has a strong opportunity to Diamond at this point. Now, Diamond is kind of an old school way of dealing with Rush, but I feel like in this situation, the Diamond is really strong because it's going to force Shadow Blue to push neutrals to get the Axe Grinder spot, and he just takes the Faeria and drops a Verdant Force. He don't care about diamonds. He's just gonna drop creatures and make it really difficult for him.
Yeah, this Verdant Force is a big problem for Shadow Blue. He can underground boss and Gift of Steel it. However, we see the Elderwood Embrace in Arena Sand. Arena being able to one-shot this underground boss is so important for Arianel here.
Do you feel that the Voice of Truth is a better used in this situation if he does go for the power up, because Elderwood Embrace is relevant at all times, whereas this could be a specific moment where Voice of Truth is usable, because you never know, Shadow Blue might not draw another Gift of Steel before this match ends.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, he's going for a weenie. I guess he doesn't want to throw the boss to the floor. I guess the boss has ordered his co-worker, the Brigand, to take the hit from the Verdant Force.
Yeah, looks like it. So this way, Shadow Blue pushes towards the X-Grinder spot and forces Arenal to make the land in the middle.
I guess there's no way you can stop this. This card is going. He's going to get the axe grinder spot in one spot or another. You can't double neutral across because you can't clear it if you do that. You can neutral into the diamond and clear the boss, but at that point, Shadow Blue already has the axe grinder spot. The only advantage is the axe grinder spot is one space away from the orb, so it does give Arenal some breathing room. Not that he really needs it. He is favored in this matchup, but any extra help is going to be greatly appreciated, I think.
I feel like you can just go in between the worlds with the Water Elemental at this point, start the double collection, and then you might even want to Emperor's Command. I don't know. It's basically a health buff for the Veteran Force at this point. He was considering it, I feel like, but goes for the Elderwood. Gets a healthy 9/9 on the board.
Yep, he's full of health. He's going to be taking a lot of damage before he falls. Like Bomb Slingers comboed with other cards is usually the best way to deal with these big guys, but the problem is Emperor's Command is sitting in hand, so if a Bomb Slinger was to show up, that command can take care of it. And not only that, the red player usually has to overextend in resources to deal with one creature, and then most of the time the green player just drops another, and the red player just face palms and goes, oh gosh, now I gotta deal with another one. I've already spent my hand to clear it.
Yeah. This is looking very grim. So Shadow Blue was counting on seeing a lot of blue jump as his first deck, and Arenal was counting on seeing a lot of Crackthorn. And unfortunately, this matchup favors Arenal very much. We see a Garradon pick up, but...
Which brings the question for me, what did Mayhem open with? I wonder if he had something that Arenal struggled with. Because Mayhem was who defeated Arenal to move on into Grand Finals. But it looks like just a pass from Shadow Blue. I guess he's going to try and line up a lot of AoE.
I don't think it's going to work, though. What Elemental is going to snowball this game by double collecting, and yeah, Veteran Force can even start moving to the left side, step on the mountain, and here you could even deny the X-Grinder, I feel like.
What do you think? I think that's the line here. Step on the mountain, deny the axe grinder, and then you're just sitting so comfortable. I know you miss a collection, but what does a red player do from that spot?
Yeah. I feel like that's the play here. Just blocking off any aggression really, and yeah, Shadow Blue sitting on 11 Faeria, having all these AoE cards in the hand, but they're just so inefficient at removing.
Yeah, a 9/9's pretty strong. It turns out. It looks like Arenal feels like he's so comfortable right now. Just goes for the double collection. Could just move on the mountain at that point, and then you could potentially develop a forest above the Veteran Force on the following turn, and then slide that Sagami Warrior with the dash across into aggressive position. So there's a lot of different things you can do from here.
So Arenal debating whether he should push aggressively with the Veteran Force or step on the mountain. He goes for the aggressive line, so he really wants to close this one out. But I feel like he can't commit too much to making aggressive lines here, since he's being rushed at this point still. So he has to respect that.
So Cypher's Wrath on the Wood Elemental's pretty decent. And what's good about this is, as far as you can tell, Veteran Force just trades, but then you top deck an Elderwood Embrace, and the Veteran Force doesn't really care about Garradon.
Yeah. This is a free trade here for Arenal with the Elderwood Embrace, and you can even play the Sagami in between.
Yeah, you can just set up another double collector, clear the Garradon, which was, well, a massive investment for the red player. You know, spending 12 Faeria to kill one creature in hopes you'll kill a Veteran Force next turn, to have that foiled by one free Faeria card, it's a big swing for the green player. And the green player doesn't need swings in this matchup. He's already swinging.
Yeah, at 9 Faeria, you're pretty much swinging. Command Garrodon could also be an option here. And then playing the voice on Verdant Force.
Yeah, oh, this is very nice. So just resetting this Verdant Force back to a 7/7. So the problem still stands, and the Sagami Warrior dashing onto the mountain. We might even have Shadow Blue throw in the towel here.
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim.
I don't want to be a pessimist, but I don't see a comeback right now.
Well, there's one brave underground boss making his way to the Voice of Truth and trying to punch that tree spirit for some Faeria value. But I don't think it will be enough here.
The thing is, as soon as Arianel finds a Sagami Grove Caller, that's when he can start being aggressive. He can just develop that aggressive land, get the forest down, and then just time a well-placed teleport, push damage, and then just shut Shadow Blue out the game. And that's how Green generally wins this match. They just defend, and then eventually that Grove Caller comes down, and aggression is applied, and the red player usually can't deal with someone like a Farian Golem or a Verdant Force, and that closes out the match.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Voice of Truth goes into collecting. Horsemaster pickup would be great here for Shadow Blue. That might give him a chance of coming back. But overall, it's looking very dark. But that's a matchup that usually goes this way.
I can see the temptation in the Grove Guardian right now, but I don't feel like you even need to. I don't think you need to feed creatures to this boss. I mean, Gift of Steel is still a good possibility from Shadow Blue. It gives him a bit of a fighting chance, allows him to clear out the Grove Guardian, allows him to live and gain Faeria. So I don't think that was necessary. You could have just waited.
I mean, you deny one collection, and if he doesn't have a gift, it's pretty good. But yeah, as you said, just giving him the trade.
Well, ultimately, here you deny the collection if he doesn't have the gift, but if he has the gift, he gains 2 Faeria and clears one of your cards.
Yeah. And he's gonna gain 2 Faeria again.
Don't worry, there's a second Grove Guardian. Everything's fine.
And defeat. So this is going to accelerate Arianel's economy.
Collect with the Voice of Truth, feed it. He can't play any aggressive land, which is sad, but he can clear the boss and then just set up a Grove Guardian. But off the feed, he'll also be able to Elderwood his Verdant Force back up into a range where you might just have to throw a Bomb Slinger at it, and that's going to be your only play. But there is, I guess, is the chance of drawing the second Voice of Truth.
That's his Boreal though. But still, Arianel looking great in this game. Can even set up a double collector again. If you choose to.
Yeah, I think you just go for the double collector. I mean, you could dash for aggressive play, potentially push a 2-turn clock on your opponent here, but do you even need to? Like, you could just set up another double collector and just sit comfortably.
Yeah. This is the play he's going for. Apparently just dropping his full hand and saying, I'm gonna finish this one. I'll try to take you down, Croc. But Croc is still sitting there smiling and yeah, not willing to surrender apparently.
These draws are just not helping. Now he might just throw in a towel, and he does.
Okay.
He decides that, I'm not going to win this game. There's no point playing it out. And Arianel once again taking a very strong victory with this mid-range green. I'm curious to see how many other players brought mid-range green as their opener, and if they had the similar success that Arianel has had with it in this tournament.
Yeah. I feel like most players won't open with a mono red deck though. Most games won't be this easy. But as I said, mono green I think is a tier 1 or tier 2 deck, even with the blue jump nerf, and yeah, even against yellow tempo it can be very good if you get to establish a board and they don't draw Last Nightmare at the right time. So Shadow Blue here picking blue jump to counter the green, which is a good pick.
You know, I feel that Sagami Warriors are a good response to blue jumps. You know, Living Willow is another good card to help fight against jump, but Sagami Warrior gives you at least that early gameplay, lets you get on board quicker, and it can usually at least trade off with 2 toads, and that is a card for a card, and you're at a Faeria advantage with that trade. So I think that Arianel has built this deck quite well. It is well-rounded mid-range green. It's not targeting anything specific, in my opinion.
I mean, the other option is playing a Willow. I think Teddy used Willow in his list as early game collectors. But the Sagami Warrior just trades so well with his free attack against everything Blue Jump has to offer. The Water Elemental, and the only exception here would be Triton Warrior. And unfortunately for Shadow Blue, that's not a card he has in hand.
And the thing with Triton Warrior as well, Sagami Warrior with a power-up clears that. So an Elderwood Embrace is enough to push Sagami Warrior into a range where it clears the warrior and then probably clears the next creature it challenges, making it a pretty reasonable Frogify target at that point, which, in all fairness, a blue player can't get away with Frogifying Sagami Warriors in this matchup.
Yeah. You have to keep Frogify through those golems, otherwise they'll be wreaking havoc upon your orb, or your board really. Just 10 health is so much for a blue player to deal with if you don't have Frogify, especially with Triton Trainer now gone.
You see Arianel taking his time, figuring out where exactly the land placement is going to be, and we're going to see a defensive forest from the side of his orb into the Explore, probably into the dash, rather than doing it the other way around. So just taking advantage of having a defensive forest and then being able to play a much more aggressive forest above the warrior next turn, which is a much more favourable position when you want to set up Horsemaster plays.
Yeah, I like this line. Also, just having forest at the orb is always a good idea for future taunts if you ever go in a race situation with a blue player. This opening fairly standard with a water elemental into neutral, then lake, then neutral again. And we see a Siston actually. I feel like this card could be very interesting against the green player. Although we have the Emperor's Command now, so that's something to consider. Would you say it's worth investing in a Siston which green has no way of reaching other than the command? It's a bit of a gamble, right?
It is a bit of a gamble because you needed a tick twice to gain your Faeria back. That's the issue with Cistern. Now I've actually found Cistern is a great card if you get off Ludoan, whereas I feel it's a lackluster card if you get off Spellwell. And I've played a lot of Ludoan recently, if you've checked out my card spotlight. So I've definitely valued this card with Ludoan, but with Spellwell, it just, with so much Emperor Command, it doesn't feel worthwhile. If it gets destroyed immediately, you lose a Faeria, and you can't really afford to most times.
Yeah. I'm really mad about Emperor's Command, to be honest. I've played some structure with lately, and you just can't play it anymore without Emperor's Command. People nuking my Faeria trees and my systems, and I just want to cry. It's not a fun experience.
Yeah, it turns out the Emperor doesn't like trees. That's maybe why that's why the Farian Golems are so mad. Maybe that's why they came down from the skies. They were just like, you know what? Stop destroying our trees, Emperor. Give us that.
Got it all figured out now. Everything is connected in Faeria lore.
Next level connections there.
We see the lake, no big surprise here. And we probably see the double collect since he has Falcon Knife in hand to get the return kill on Sagami Warrior. And he even has a Ninja Toad to double collect next turn.
Setting up this lake is going to be pretty important for his Mystic Beasts. But he doesn't have any yet. Just getting it set up early is quite nice. And of course it gives you a good avenue for your Colossus. And we do see Shadow Blue a moment there just thinking, maybe I dropped Cistern, but maybe he's come to the same conclusion we have, that if a command hits it, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. What do you think about not collecting here? I mean, you have to reduce your Wave Crush at some point. So giving up the collection feels kind of bad, actually.
I guess he's playing around power-ups. That would be my only assumption there. You just don't want to run into an Elderwood. You don't want to run into a Presence. And like I said, once you Elderwood a Sagami Warrior, it actually becomes a very reasonable threat that could demand a Fragify, which you don't want to invest just yet. And then the Ninja Toad isn't enough. Now the Triton Trainer is no longer being run. Like in a different, I guess, a week ago, you could have went for that collect. Because Ninja Toad with Triton Warrior, Triton Trainer, would have been fine. But we're now in a situation where Blue doesn't have that power advantage. And speaking of Mystic Beasts, one's just shown up. And this is a good creature to kind of block off this warrior from progressing.
Yeah. I wonder though if you... Yeah, you'd probably make a land here and then drop Mystic Beast, or you just jump there and Falcon there to clear. But it looks like he's going for the Mystic Beast line to block off the Faeria, and now that forces a buff.
See, I do like the Falcon Dive line here. It's so clean. You could even go Lake into Ninja Toad Falcon Dive and then just keep your Water Elemental as a Harvester. And that allows you to be a bit more aggressive with your Mystic Beast on the following turn. But I did not mind a clear on the Warrior there. It was just so clean.
Yeah. And unfortunately for Arianel, we don't see a buff in hand. It's only 2 Feed the Forest and the Sagami Grove Coder.
And once again,
not very ideal.
Yeah, once again, Arianel being stuck with these utility cards.
You even see a Prophet to set up a collection on the other side as well, trying to get that double collect in, and yeah, Shadow Blue is out collecting him by far at this point, but things can change. We see a Veteran in hand, a Grove Collar, and with some teleportation and good trades, this game might be in Arianel's favor again.
He really needs a power up. Power up is crucial to clearing off the left-hand side. I mean, you could teleport and just throw both Sagami Warriors into the Beast, but that feels just so bad because you're basically trading 6 Faeria and 2 cards for 1 card. So he's going to go for the Voice of Truth. That's actually really good because it's going to allow the Warriors to live.
Yeah, this is a great pickup here for Arianel.
I mean, it's not exactly the Elderwood Embrace, but it still does the job.
You can even feed it, and if you want to look for another buff, maybe.
Krog, he's just so impressed.
Yeah, a buff here would be insane. That would allow you to clear the Mystic Beast and clear the Water Elemental as well.
Unfortunately, not an option at this point. Grove Guardian onto the right-hand side, or even maybe a Verdant Force to challenge any potential Colossus coming down next turn. It's definitely worthwhile. It allows you to collect on the right-hand side, and it also allows you to use the teleport next turn if things get a little hairy. But it looks like Arianel is just going all in and just flooding the board with those creatures.
Spell Wall here for Shadow Blue, going to give him some more options if he chooses to use it. And it looks like Shadow Blue won't be winning the lottery anytime soon, not with that luck. Double Triton Chef, not a card you want to see.
I kind of feel like Spellwell's haunted me here because seeing 2 chefs has made me hungry. So retreat to collect, wants to keep retaining the value from the Water Elemental. It's paid for itself already, collecting more Faeria. Moves out of range of those 3/2s, so potentially Shadow Blue can find other creatures to help him deal with it. And it looks like he's going to go for a Chef now. The only issue with this is Virgin Force just cleans it up quite nicely. But with a Banquet and a Falcon Dive on the Ninja Toad, that does allow him to clear the Virgin Force after that trade-off.
That's true, but paying 3 Faeria for a 1/1 buff for Campfire is not really exactly what you're looking for. It's just so much Faeria. I'd rather see him playing the Herald and then trying to use the Triton Banquet to clear off the Grove Guardian, maybe? Just to get this value trade in and yeah, try to get any value out of the Banquet, since all your other creatures have jump. So you don't really need it really on something like a Water Elemental or a Ninja Toad to give it more mobility.
Do you value your 3/2s in this situation and use the Virgin Force to clear up the 2/2 just to retain a stronger board position, or do you value the life of the Virgin Force?
I think I would clear with the Wildrun Force here. Having the 3/2 is pretty good, because you can take some more value trades, I think.
Well, the Grove Call is going to allow one of the warriors to teleport up if he chooses to clear out the... Oh, he's going to use the Virgin Force. Okay, so this is an alternative line. I guess he... Well, I guess the only advantage from this, doing it this way, is your Virgin Force is in a more aggressive position. But the other way actually kept an additional life, 1 life on your Virgin Force, which could have been relevant considering there's a Ninja Toad and a Falcon Dive in hand.
But it's a 2-card combination. Sometimes you don't play around that. Unfortunately for Arenal, Shadow Blue has it and can take the return kill here. You could even try to set up a Herald maybe, just to contest either the Grove Guardian or the Sagami Warrior, if he chooses to.
We see both Falcon Dive and Emperor's Command in this list. Now, Falcon Dive has kind of taken a back seat since the inclusion of Emperor's Command into the game, but Shadow Blue feels that both of them, have strengths and weaknesses, I guess, in a list. I guess Falcon Dive is 1 Faeria cheaper, which can matter sometimes, when it comes to trying to remove something.
Yeah, maybe he was looking at spreading the cards as well, like using Emperor's Command in as many lists as possible. I think he could run maybe something like 2 of Emperor's Command in this blue list and maybe 1 of in Yellow Tempo or some other deck.
Yeah, that's
we see the Wave Crush come down. And the Triton Chef. All these chefs.
All these banquets. Got some hungry frogs.
Yeah.
Voice of Truth. So Voice of Truth on the 3/2 resets its health back to a 3/4 and allows it to clear the chef, but how important that is, I don't know. I don't think it's important enough right now. I guess you could just guidance and then take the clear that way. Alternatively, you can just full power up the 3/2 with double buff and take out the Colossus.
I guess Colossus represents a threat since it's collecting from the enemy well. And if your opponent doesn't have Frogify, you get a pretty clean trade. Maybe that's what Arena is thinking right now. And it looks like that's what he's going for. Yeah, so he'll be able to trade in Tsugami into Chef and Colossus. We see a Frogify come down. That's not doing much. Emperor's Command. Is it worth to keep your Triton Chef alive here?
I don't think so, because you have the Ancient Herald to replace it, which is a lot sturdier, and you've already seen 2 teleports, so the Ancient Herald should just stick around.
Yeah, I guess. So you could go for a draw maybe then, to proc off your Herald.
Yeah, that's an alternative.
He has to be careful though, all those banquets are filling up quite nicely his hand. He might overdraw soon, if he keeps drawing dead cards, or at least generating dead cards with a Triton Chef.
It looks like he's more interested in keeping the 2/2 alive. I guess this way you don't have to build land to set up double collection. The 2/2 is going to collect Faeria for you anyway. And even though Arianel's had some great responses, over time, Shadow Blue is winning this game because Arianel's not drawn into his power plays.
He's out collecting him here. It's a triple collection against only the one Faeria collection from the Grove Guardian. And now he draws all those buffs. He really could have used the Eldwood earlier to take this favorable trade with the Sagami Warrior.
And I've seen this time and time again in this matchup, especially last monthly cup, where the mono green player gets bullied into one corner and the blue player collects from free wells. If you go back and watch the last monthly cup, I think it happened at least 2 or 3 times. And it's just basically how this matchup goes. Unless Arianel can really seize initiative in the early game, the blue player eventually just draws into its answers it needs for the bigger stuff. And it becomes much harder for the green player to ever set up any kind of valuable collection spots.
And now we see why he wanted to keep the chef alive. Having that body on the field for Neurophantasm was really good. And we see the Banquet in hand. He could potentially clear the Grove Guardian or just hit him for 10 at this point.
So Arianel has to weigh up. Is it worth investing double Elderwood to clear out this 5/5? At this point, you probably have to.
Yeah.
Because you know Banquets are in hand.
Yeah. Let's see what Shadow Blue does. Or what Arianel does, rather.
I feel it's going to be double Elderwood here, because there's no other line at this point.
I was looking at doing something with the Wood Elemental, but it just doesn't seem good. So now Grove Guardian steps back.
But Herald's dangerous. My issue with Grove Guardian stepping back is a Prophet of the Tide is kind of sad. I don't know, I guess it makes no difference really, because Prophet of the Tide is going to allow the Phantasm to clear it with the Banquet anyway.
Yeah.
No hesitation here. That guy's becoming a frog, and he's going to clear it out, and then just produce a Triton Warrior. Now the pressure is really on. Try collecting from Shadow Blue, overwhelming the board with creatures, and just a lone Grove Guardian to try and keep things in check for Arianel.
Yeah, the heat is on for sure, and Arianel starts to sweat in his tiny forest he built here. This is... He can only play a Veteran Force here, but... even then, it's not that great. The Ancient Herald already did a value trade. And yeah, he just has to hope that Veteran Force cannot take 2 bodies here. And he somehow manages to get back in the game, but I feel like Shadow Blue is just going to push 9 face damage, maybe? Or even clear the Grove Guardian with the jump of Triton Banquet.
I think if a Frogify is picked up off the top now, we could definitely see a full board clear. Aurora plus Banquet is enough for a clear on the Verdran Force. But Aurora just on, say, the Triton Warrior clears out the Grove Guardian, and you can just push 5 damage with the Herald. I mean, that's an option.
Prophet of Tides.
Well, now you just have Prophet on Prophet, move it down, and then Aurora the Prophet to clear out this Grove Guardian.
Yeah, this is looking very good. Even gets the collection in from the enemy well. And yeah, I don't know how Arianel is going to come back here.
This could be an opportunity for Arianel to gain additional information about his opponent's deck. Which I think is hard sometimes, because I think with blue, Spell Whirl really blurs that a little bit, because unless you keep track of exactly what cards in hand have been Spell Whirled, they could just play a card which you think is in their deck organically. Like a one-off of Aurora's trick or Aurora's creation could potentially be ran in a blue list, but
yeah,
it's hard to tell sometimes.
It's true though, it confuses your opponent. I think Lou pledged for the change that Spellwheel should only reveal the cards once they get added to your hand. I feel like that would be a good change to reduce some of the tilt the Spellwheel can induce.
Well, this is something I've come to appreciate a lot from playing physical card games. Gaining information from tutors, and I think it's something that digital card games hasn't really embraced that much, and it could definitely be a great way to even out powerful cards like Spell Will.
Yeah. And we see an Emperor's Command pick up here. So Arenal will be able to take out the Prophet. Will most likely play another big creature though. I don't know. Triton Warrior trades into it with the Prophet of Tides.
Emperor's Command on the 6/1. It's tough because you just play a Wood Elemental, which at the moment is in no safe spot to not get cleared by the Warrior or the Phantasm.
Yeah, and Arenal actually chooses to play nothing here.
I think that's
Just
the best
kidding.
line.
It is. There are no... Oh! That hurts.
The Bane of Green showing up right there, being transformed into little frogs.
You know, you have all these ancient creatures, these golems and verdant forces, powerful creatures of the forest, but then there's just going to come... They're just going to transform into frogs and lose all their might, and that's what happened here. Poor verdant force. We see a Therian golem.
Alright, so this could help bring Arenal back in the next turn. I mean, he needs a Grove Guardian now because he's seen enough Frogify, so kind of just hope this will soak this warrior.
Yeah.
But double Banquet, so painful.
Yeah. That's a very, very expensive campfire. 6 Faeria for a 2/2 buff.
Oh, there's a normal
But
campfire.
he draws a campfire.
That's a very expensive campfire. Then a cheap campfire shows up.
Yeah, all these campfires.
It kind of feels like Shadow Blue's deck is got like a large amount of utility through the events. We've seen a campfire, we've seen a Falcon Dive, and we've seen an Emperor's Command.
Yeah. But campfire and Falcon Dives have been stable in Blue Jump for a long time. It's only the addition of command that really surprised me, like having all these utility cards and not just restricting yourself to only running commands or only using Falcon Dives and campfires.
And that is going to be lethal with the second Banquet coming down on the Mirror Phantasm. And Shadow Blue is back in this game after choosing his blue jump into the mono green. And he's going to tie up the series.
Very nicely done. He even made use out of both his Triton chefs, which I admire.
They had relevance. That's always a good thing.
Yeah. One as a body to transform for the Mirror Phantasm, and then the second use of the Banquet to get the killing blow.
So now Arenal gets to pick into blue jump, which means he can line up a good matchup. I do believe we have red yet to see, and we also have yellow. So I believe it was just yellow and blue, right? Left for Arenal.
Yeah.
Oh no, he does have.
And...
No, he does have red. Oh yes, combat control. I forgot.
Yeah. So these underground bosses are not as ideal, since Water Elemental just trades into them. He would need a Gift of Steel maybe to get some value out of them.
The sad thing is, red control can still lose this matchup. Down to good Frogifies on pre-buff targets, but also Spell will find a new cards to help in the matchup. I've had experiences when I'm playing red control and I'm so far ahead, I'm just like, how could I lose this game? And then all of a sudden, Spell will into Dream Reaver, into an undefendable position, into enchantment on the next turn, and then I'm dead. I'm just like, wow, I thought I was favored.
Yeah. What do you think about tossing away the Horse Master?
I think Arenal's going for a more slow game. Feels like he may have the time. Colossus kind of play into Shadow Blue's favor on a slower paced game.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Shadow Blue respects the AoE and Arenal can close this out before Colossus calms down, really.
See, a true blue card comes to Shadow Blue's hand. That is Gabriel Noble. Long live the Ruby Fish. And may they rule supreme.
I mean, earlier in Kumpel Kefa's match against Shadow Blue, there was unfortunately no use for saving Private Ruby Fish. He just died, but I mean it can snowball out of control.
If he collects a Faeria, he's done his job. Private Ruby Fish lives on in our memories. If he gets Aurora, well, he's a commando. He's going in.
Yeah.
The next turn, Shadow Blue gets to set up a Ruby Fish. He can take the lake, play the Noble, and then slot the Ruby Fish over to the right-hand side now. Ruby Fish, unfortunately, becomes Fried Fish against Red. Ground Shaker, Cypher's Wrath, there's plenty of things to cook that into a nice meal, but at this point, Arianel doesn't have those options, so maybe Ruby Fish will get some value, and the longer that fish stays in double collection, the cheaper those Colossus come earlier, and that's what I've experienced playing Noble Grandeur, which I have Colossus in that list as well, is Ruby Fish, if left unchecked, it becomes very dangerous because of that cost reduction.
Yeah, it's quite underrated, I have to agree. Just getting this early collector out and, yeah, constantly having one side double collect is pretty good. Those double gifts are not that good for Arianel here. He doesn't want to overbuff his Brigand. That's a dilemma, otherwise we'll get frogified.
I guess the sad thing is, Arianel doesn't have the opportunity to preemptively buff anymore. I don't think anyone does really against you, unless you're playing in a red mirror, because Voice of Truth also exists for green. You need to play Gift of Steel reactively in most cases, and we saw Arianel very hesitant there about leaving this Brigand up just because of Ninja Toad, but decides to just take the risk and doesn't develop the Axe Grinder.
Yeah.
But there is going to be a reward.
Noble. But Gift is just going to make this Underground Brigand eat the Noble.
Cypher's
and we even see a Cypher.
Oh no, Ruby Fish.
Yeah. Good night, sweet prince. At this point, this game almost looks over. Just red control doing what its best can, taking efficient trades with the Gift of Steel and clearing the board, really.
You can even take a mountain inside the well, set up an Axe Grinder as additional harvester.
Yeah.
Or Ruby Fish, sent to the deep fat fryer, going to be cooked up for some British person's dinner with some chips on the side. I was an optimist, assuming Ruby Fish might double collect for Shadow Blue here. Look how upset Krog is.
Yeah. Krog does not like his fish grilled, apparently.
So how do you come back in this game as Shadow Blue? I guess you could develop a lake to the side of your orb, or maybe just to the side of your central lake and develop Battletoads. Try and get some collection going.
It's really hard for Shadow Blue, not having the early game collector set him behind, and then having the Noble just die off was brutal. And yeah, not getting any value out of the fish set him really behind. He even Arianel even denied the Axe Grinders, the Mystic Beast spot. And now Arianel is just going to be able to drop an aggressive Cypher.
I guess the sad thing about this for Arianel is he can't pre-gift to steal his Brigand, kind of forcing a Frogify and then keeping his Brigand alive. And in this situation, a Frogify allows both creatures to be cleared, but on the flip side, the advantage Arianel retains from this is his opponent loses both his Harvesters, has to +1, so can't draw. But it looks like Shadow Blue is deciding, I can't just throw a frog into this. I need to start collecting. Yeah. And Frogify can still come down, but at least the Brigand will live to fight another day.
Yeah, I feel like you have to set up collection here. This is so important, and Brigand doesn't represent any face damage, not this turn. Or unless Arianel top decks a Horse Master. So I think you just leave the left side and only Frogify Cypher if you're worried about taking face damage.
Do you Frogify Cypher but then clear the Brigand? No? Okay. So look.
I guess not.
I was just thinking, because the Brigand can be buffed again, and then it's out of range. Whereas the frog will always be managed by the other frog.
Oh, that's so crucial. And yeah, Shadow Blue gets punished for this play.
And you can
Picking up the
even
Horsemaster.
gain Faeria and flame burst the other frog if you want.
And there's the well played from Shadow Blue. He knows what's about to happen next. I feel like at this point you could have gone for the Gift of Steel though.
I feel so too, yeah. I think the Gift of Steel was fine there because Shadow Blue, if he frogifies, he never wins this match. And he kind of agrees at this point. And Arianel taking a 2-1 lead in the series.
Yeah, Arianel is looking very solid here.
And Arianel had a solid performance in his last monthly cup that he won. You know, he proved that he was a very strong performer, and again, in a top 4 spot, potentially taking 3rd place again for Faeria Tail, and he's looking in a good position to win the series.
Yeah. So we'll see if Shadow Blue's yellow tempo can match the red combat of Arianel. How do you feel with this matchup go? It's not as obvious because most of the AoEs of red do 3 damage, and most of the creatures of yellow tempo have 4 health. Like Windstorm Charter has 4 health, Demon has 4 health, and there's only really the Fnatic and the Outland Ranger you can clear.
Yeah, this is where the issue lies, I think, for red control. The primary creatures being 1 life out of range of AoE removal. Now, most of the time, you're gonna have to line up like a two hit combo to clear these creatures, be it Firestorm Deciphers or Garrodannon Deciphers. And the problem is, because you can't one-shot these charges without a Bomb Singer, which requires you to have lands in very specific positions, these charges can usually get great value if they trade up the curve on stuff like Ground Shakers.
Yeah. And we'll see some charger come down on the left side, I think. Getting into that double collection. And yeah, there's not much Arena can do at this point.
Now the thing is, I think this is the problem Red Control has with both Blue Jump and Yellow events. If those decks get ahead, the Colossuses are usually unbearable, and that's usually the big swing card for both of those decks against Red Control. If Red Control can keep things neutral or at least get ahead, those Colossus become much easier to deal with because they usually have the resources they need to be able to answer them.
Yeah. But as you can see, Shadow Blue's Colossus already getting reduced just because he's the second player and gets the Explore card here. Yeah, this is looking pretty good for Shadow Blue. He has a nice starting hand with the Charger, being able to double collect next turn. And Arianel looking to push up the right side here, trying to set up the X-Grander and trying to outrace or just counter pressure here.
Do you feel a race is a viable strategy for Arianel? Do you feel that's how Red Control needs to approach this matchup? You know, if I ever fall behind, I'm never getting back in the match, so perhaps I play aggressively too and force the player to play defensively?
I mean, playing the X-Grinder alternatively on the left side isn't really doing anything because it just opens up Wind Soldier clears or, yeah, really anything. And same goes for Ground Shaker. If you let the Yellow Temple player get the initiative, get that first trade with the Charger, it's really bad for you. And so I feel like X-Brander here, aggressive is fine. And then next turn, if Shadow Blue decides to go face ever, you can retaliate with a Bomb Slinger.
I guess the one good thing for Arianel, he has removal in hand, sitting on a wealth of Faeria, going to collect twice, we assume, unless there's removal thrown around. But still, even if these creatures are removed, still going to be on 11 Faeria, and this is going to allow a Bomb Slinger, potentially a Ground Shaker, Cypher Clear, like whatever combination of removal he needs. And that might be enough to give some breathing room and continue to play aggressively. But it very much depends on Shadow Blue now, I feel. What Shadow Blue does now may dictate the course of this match.
Yeah. Well, he's sitting at 14 Faeria. Maybe even expect a draw here.
Yeah, there's not much else going on, unfortunately.
Yeah. Playing Colossus is not an option, that's for sure.
The issue kind of
Really?
lies in that the hand is too vulnerable to removal outside of Colossus, and the Colossus is too expensive.
Yeah. That's the dilemma he's in. And there are not really any good trades at the moment for the Charger. Trading into a X Grinder doesn't feel right at all.
You could argue that at this point, the Colossus in an aggressive position, it's going to be very difficult for Arianel to deal with. But the problem is, if that Colossus does get cleared, which we're going to see it come down now, I guess this is much better. So you've removed a threat that's harvesting, and now the Colossus is much cheaper. A Bomb Slinger into a Flame Burst gives you an Faeria an advantage, and it's 2 cards for 1. So you are rewarded in that respect. But if you'd just gone for the 9 Faeria Colossus, it would have been really terrible.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see how Arianel is going to solve this one. He just saw a lot of removal being used, so maybe Bomb Slinger is the way to go. Going for a greedy line and saying, hey, I'm gonna drop this 4 damage on your Colossus. And then next turn I'll trade him with more Bomb Slinger.
I don't mind double neutral. 1 defensively, 1 aggressively. Push the Axe Grinder up so it's still threatening damage, and then playing a Queen's Guard. And then Bomb Slinger can finish it off after. But like you said, going for the greedier line here. I guess if the Bomb Slinger does die, the Ground Shaker has dealt enough damage now that the Cypher's Wrath is going to be enough. But this Outland Ranger plus the Wind Soldier, I mean, this could push this Colossus out of reach of Arianel's removal.
Yeah. The question is he going all in though? He saw that he didn't have a Flame Burst in hand last turn, so buffing it and going face might be the option here. He's just gonna say, you know what, I saw you didn't have Flame Burst last turn, because otherwise you would have just Flame Bursted my Colossus, and that's why I'm gonna clear your Bomb Slinger and go all in face here. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Do you ever fear a Firestorm? Firestorm would be catastrophic in this situation. If he doesn't draw the Firestorm, like you said, the all-in play is quite rewarding because it's going to be very difficult for Arianel to deal with it. But a Firestorm pretty much loses you the match.
Yeah. Chooses to not play around the removal in hand. And thus gets punished with a Cypher's Wrath. Sadly, he won't be able to drop a creature.
I don't know, you could Horse Master the Axe Grinder aggressively at this point.
Yeah, that could be an idea.
Cypher's Wrath, double neutral.
Cypher's Wrath, get the Axe Grinder to push 5 damage face, and get the Horse Master to contest the 2-3.
Yeah, I like it.
We see Outland Ranger in hand though. So he can buff his Charger out of reach, but then again there's the Ground Shaker to counter.
It kind of feels like the perfect answer, really. Like you said, the Ground Shaker's there to counter, so even if an Outland Ranger does come down, you still have the answer, and you're not that far behind.
I like this. It's like a back and forth. But at the moment, Arianel is looking pretty good. Having 2 creatures potentially collecting is important as a red player, since you'll need a lot of Faeria to play all of these removals that you have in hand. Shadow Blue with 10 Faeria, however, can play his whole hand if he chooses to.
What's more important to clear right now, the Horse Master or the Axe Grinder? You lose your Charger in the clear on the Axe Grinder, but it does stop that aggression.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe even try to outrace at this point. I don't know.
I think another problem is, if you do go for the Axe Grinder clear, which is the more defensive option, you do free up the Horse Master and the Ground Shaker to double collect next turn, giving an economy boost to Arianel, and then you're just left with a 3/2 and another 3/2, which is vulnerable to not only Firestorm but other spot removal that red has.
Yeah, that was my point. Or maybe you would even be left with a 4/3, because you would most likely buff either the Outland Ranger or the Fanatic, so the Campfire doesn't go to waste. And looks like we're seeing the clear here.
I'm not sure about the aggressive Outland range there. I guess blocking the collection is pretty important to Shadow Blue right now. But how important is collecting yourself, guaranteeing that you double collect next turn if the removal doesn't show up?
Yeah. We can actually see aggressive Queensguard here from Area now.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Starve Shadow Blue even further. You've just seen a bit of removal being used in that Campfire in combination with the Charger. It's going to demand a Last Nightmare or a Choking Sands. And right now Shadow Blue is kind of running dry, only one card in hand. He can double draw and still have enough Faeria to clear the Queensguard, but if it's not there, that might give you the swing you need to get back in the match.
Yeah. I feel like at this point you just want to drop Queensguard and pray he doesn't have Last Nightmare. I mean, he has only one card in hand, and I think there would have been plenty of targets for Last Nightmare. Like the Ground Shaker, for example.
I mean, alternatively, you play the Ground Shaker, but the Ground Shaker doesn't give you Faeria if there's a Soul Drain. So if Soul Drain is the answer now to this Queensguard with a trade-off, you gain that additional Faeria, so it's a little cheaper for you. And that means next turn, you're sitting on 5 Faeria, which is really nice because you can +1 into a Ground Shaker if need be.
I feel like Shadow Blue has to draw here. This Queensguard is a nightmare at the moment. He has no way of dealing with it in hand. So he's really looking for a Choking Sand or Last Nightmare. Doesn't find it. Only gets a Time of Legends, and he already has Kaleem in hand.
Very tough now for Shadow Blue. Maybe just aggressive Kaleem and pass, or defensive Kaleem in the double collection spot on the left-hand side so you can double collect next turn. Because if you set up a Fanatic here to just get that one collection, I mean, I guess alternatively you can jump the Fanatic to the left and then have it jump out of reach of the Queensguard, and then it can collect off the left-hand well.
Yeah, but that opens up your opponent to hitting face with the Queensguard and generating that combat value. It's a tough choice for Shadow Blue here, that's for sure. Going for the collection here, and it looks like he's going to drop Kaleem.
I don't understand why you don't jump to the left and then move naturally to the left to collect. You achieve the same thing, but you're out of reach of the Queensguard.
Yeah, I don't understand this one. Arena even gets to collect here with the Queensguard this way.
Wow, you can develop an aggressive mountain for future axe grinders, collect, take the +1 Faeria from the combat, and then you can play a Ground Shaker defensively.
Yeah.
Such a strong line. And this could have been avoided if he had jumped over to the left side instead.
But I guess he was more concerned about taking face damage here. Like, he really wanted that Queensguard to clear off his 4/3 for some reason. And maybe he was saying, well, let's go, I have a Kaleem in your face and I have an Origin Fanatic. And they are gonna push 6 damage next turn. And I even have a follower in hand. Maybe that was his line of thinking. But unfortunately, only Kaleem is able to hit here, and yeah, Ground Shaker is gonna get some juicy sky booty, as it seems.
Do you even go for the orb at this point? Is it worth losing Kaleem?
I don't know, to be honest. He's so far behind on board here. He wanted he wanted the Queen's Guard to clear his 4-3. He could have also just went to the other side. So I'm really thinking he's concerned about racing. He got those yellow rush goggles on, as he called them.
I kind of feel that some more defensive play, some more collection-based strategies could have just given Shadow Blue the Colossus outs.
Yeah, Colossus is an out. That's for sure.
But now we get +1 Faeria off the combat from the orb hit on the Queen's Guard, and then you can just collect from the the right hand side, sorry, and play Ground Shaker.
Yeah, aggressive Ground Shaker looks very good here.
Man, it's just so good. It cleans up the board. I can't see Shadow Blue coming out of this now.
Yeah, and that's all because of Queen's Guard being able to generate that much barrier. It's really such a nice card, and it even locks your opponent in from collecting, so that's even more value you generate. You deny your opponent the collection with a taunt, and then you collect yourself with a Queen's Guard. This looks over, yeah.
And it just goes to show how powerful Faeria combat mechanic is. You know, Boss, Brigand, Queen's Guard. The beauty of Queen's Guard, though, is it has taunt, so it locks a creature in combat with it. So you can almost guarantee that trigger unless there's some removal involved.
And we saw the recent combat change. I mean, it's not very recent, but a while ago, they changed it so combat effects trigger on orb, and that was what pushed all these combat decks, I think, a tier up at least.
Yeah.
Like, even with the introduction of Red Yellow Burn, we saw the popularity of combat creatures rise.
And we saw a shift from red control going from like Bloodsinger, Grimguard, Shedding Brood to the more economy-based combat creatures, which let them stay in the game longer and retain board control and play more hands from their cards, from more cards from their hands when it comes to being aggressive or defensive.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk to Scorch and get his thoughts on the match.
That was a really cool match to see. Both players really taking their time throughout the whole thing. Going back even just to game one, the green we were seeing from Arianel, I was so happy he went for the +1 Verteran Force on turn 2 there, just because it swung the game so incredibly hard for him. I was really hoping that he was going to do it. And then when I saw him hit that +1, I was just like, pumping my fist of yes, he actually went for it. I was so happy to see that happen, and just because it doesn't seem like a great play at that stage, but it was so good in the position that he was in against that red deck. And then we saw just, I think, really dominant performances from the player who was in the lead. The next one of the Shadow Blues blue deck against the green, we really saw him, like you guys were talking about, force Arianel into just one corner and really control the rest of the board. And then the red coming back out from Arianel looks so dominant with all of the clearing lines that he went for. Just a really strong match.
Yeah, I felt like both players were very strong in that game. But the thing is, I think experience kind of outweighed kind of the new blood in that game. You know, Arianel is already being a monthly cup champion, and that's super important when it comes to experience, playing in these long tournaments. And to be fair to Shadow Blue, he's representing China. Like, what time is it over there? It must be pretty late. And yeah, I feel that Shadow Blue had a fantastic performance, so well done to him. And yeah, well done to both players for getting into top 4.
Yeah, a really strong performance, of course, throughout the course of the day. But even just in that third place match, even for Shadow Blue coming out with the loss, still very good play in the semifinals that we saw, in the games he was able to take there, and the plays that he went for here. Just unfortunate that he wasn't able to find the win, but just really unreal play coming out from Arianel.
All right, guys, we are going to go to a break before we set up the grand finals. We're going to have Mayhem, a monthly cup champion, possibly becoming a 2-time Monthly Cup champion, going up against Kumpel Keffer, the new blood. Old school versus new school. That's how we like it here at the Monthly Cup. So we'll be back very soon. Stay tuned for the grand finals.